Alright, so got the diff out. Went all pretty simple as it always does. You want to get this T30, and this is going to be the size for your star bits here. Work yourself in a crisscross pattern. Now, hopefully yours isn't going to be exploded in here, because you're just going to have a little bit more problems. This one's not, it's just leaking, so you got a few pry points. Got a pry point right there, and then you got another one over here, right there. So you just kind of want to keep on working back and forth on those two, so you can get up underneath here. You want to lift this up pretty well, even, and then keep your thumb and just push down on the gear. The gear here, so it doesn't pop out, because if this pops out, it could also pull your cage out, and then that will move all your rollers in there. So it's kind of new to me too, but what I'm seeing on a bunch of these new diffs are these plastic spacers, and I really don't know what these are yet, because I'm fairly new to them, so I gotta look at that some more. But yeah, so we're gonna start there and then disassemble. You can of course pick this one up, set that aside, pick this out, and then your cage. But like I said, this one's not completely busted yet, so we're gonna take this out carefully. But yeah, and then see if I can pull the whole thing out. Yep, there you go. Just inspect all your gears. We didn't really drain this one because he said there's nothing in there, so thanks, Kevin.
There wasn't a lot in there.
I don't know, but anyways, yeah, so not really an how-to video just yet, but this is where we're at, and stay tuned for the next part. Okay, so to get this big seal in the back, all I did was just drill in some self-tappers, and then kind of used the nail remover of the hammer, just pry it against the case a little bit right here, and it soon enough popped out, because it is metal. And then I drilled into the bearing housing anyway, so it all came out together. So next, what it is down here, right there, there's a C-clip we're going to have to pull out, and then pull out this main big bearing in here. Unlike the 8 to 10s where there's a flange that goes on here and there's two bearings, it's just one big solid bearing, which is this one right here. Just one big fat bearing that fits in right there. So we're just going to pull out the C-clip, pull on this, get this pinion gear out, and then when you go and replace it, this big seal right here is the one that slips over this, but I'll get that on video too. That's first step, is removing this seal, and that's how this little trick I do it. Just drill in some screws and that's it, and then pry out on it. Okay, so then once you get your snap ring out, mine just pulled right on out. I mean, just give a little wiggle side to side, and the whole thing just pulled right on out. You will have another snap ring right there that needs to come off to pull the bearing out, and I don't see much of a problem with that. If you do, you can just open up your vise just enough so the teeth of the vise go right there, and you can just hammer it right on through. Same way with reinstalling the new one. I really highly doubt that it's going to actually need to be pressed onto there. But good news is, though, I think I found the culprit of, he said he was hearing like a, not really a tick, but just a noise in his front diff. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think the whole bearing casing was just falling apart, minus all the watery oil in it. But because this is the rear seal started leaking, and then which will allow it to get down this bearing, and this bearing is then first to go, which I think that was because like I said, on this part, this outer side came out, and then when I pulled out the pinion, this one was laying down on the bottom. These are obviously the holders for the ball bearings. So yeah, anyways, back to it. Like I said, take this bearing out, and then that will reinstall the new bearing on there, pop it all back in after I clean it all out, and that takes care of everything on the pinion side. It does help when you got a parts cleaner. Makes everything, all your parts nice and clean, bearings clean, even though I do need to change the fluid. But yeah, it makes it real nice, even though I don't use it as much as I should or want to. Alright, so here we got all the pieces laid out. Got all the roller pins out, cleaned up. I got a new bearing on this with the C-clip back in, cleaned up. And now this is pretty much the problem though. Obviously, his whole cage just, every piece of it fell off, and there's little chunks like there. So I got to take the C-clips, or the, then they call them H-clips, off of that one, and then press onto this one, and then install all the rollers onto this. So that's just the next step, is taking all of these off, put them on there, and then we can start pretty much assembling everything again. I wanted to show you how to get, or how I get these bearings off of the axle splines, because when a bearing's sitting on this, you know, it's right in line with this right here, so you can't really get anything up underneath here to pry up. So all I do is take whatever flat stock that I have, and then I kind of wedge it like this, as you saw there, and then have the bearing sitting on top with, then of course this underneath it, because these plates are going to get squished in between the plastic and the metal bearing. And then this was, I believe, a 7/8 socket, and that fit perfectly inside the bearing, so you can put the bearing or the socket on top of this and then drive this out. Then of course, as you can still see here, that the socket is fit perfectly in there, and drive it out, because that's what you need to do, just to so you won't, you know, crack this plastic, or because that's all it is just a plastic spacer. So there's really no way to get up underneath there unless you make a little platform for the bearings to sit, and then drive this out. And then when you just put the new ones on, obviously just put the bearing on there, and then you can press it on. But that's the little trick to get the, or at least not really a trick, just the way I do it, to get those old bearings off. Okay, so next it's just getting these clips off, the H clips. Just get a small little pick, and you're gonna go up underneath there. It's easy. Pop it out, grab it, put that aside. All you're gonna do, when you just obviously grab your new one there, look for these grooves. There's gonna be one up and one down. Put it in there. And clip it in, just like that. Real simple. You want to make sure that you can see a little bit of your arc right there, arch, because you don't want it to be completely flat, because this is what gets your tensions on your rollers to get pressed in and pressed out. Keep tension on them. So just keep that in mind. You got to do that to every single one of these, all the way around. Alright, so to install these seals, since they're so tiny and everything, and we're going to try the whole point of view head cam, even though I feel like an idiot with this thing on my head in the garage. But all you do on these is kind of get them started in there. You can press fit them in there by hand. Just make sure they're smooth all the way around. Do that. And then when you flip this over and install one, just want to make sure that right here, that your lips all seat right. You push it through. That there. You don't want that lip to be raised up on this. You want to make sure that everything's down nice and smooth. You see a little nice groove in there. So when this thing rotates, obviously it's going to create a good seal. If you see it lipped up, then you either need to get maybe a small pick, maybe, or the back side of it, and then press it down in there, or take it out and try it again. Okay, so this bearing really simply just slides pretty much right on in. Don't have to do it any pounding or anything. Press it in there. Then put your snap ring back in there. Don't forget that. Make sure you get this snap ring on this one. Slides in there. When you put this seal in there, want to go ahead and grease the inside of it, because it doesn't come pre-greased. Make sure that the your spring is in there. This thing pretty simply slides in there too. Get it pretty well even on there, and then it'll just kind of snap right on in like that. And then do a few little love taps on each side, even out, till this is flush all the way around. there you go. That's seated. Of course, I'm going to finish everything up when I get it ready. And now, I guess we can just go from here. Same thing with the seal in here. Just grab you some kind of grease. You're not using a lot of it, so it doesn't matter which one it is. And this might be a how-to, might not. I know there's tons more because, of course, it's 2016 and I'm dealing with the differential basics that was made in 08 and still going on. On these, it doesn't really matter which one's up. I believe that this one was deep into there first, so we're going to go ahead and put this one in there. Like I said, you want to make sure that your lips on that are seated just right. And clean off the grease and inspect the seal. Working good there. Then we can go ahead and put in our pinion gear. Ring gear, not pinion gear. Slap that in there. Okay, now I know you can get these things pre-put together where all you have to do is pretty much put the sleeve around it. The sleeve will catch right here and you just push that in there with the rollers already installed. But that's like $200 extra. I don't see why, unless you just want to throw away your money, then I mean, this is so simple to not do it. If you want to do that, then bring it to me and I'll install it for so much, make up the difference. But all you do, put one in there, start it with one finger, keep working your way around. I'm just going to do one side here on the camera because I don't want to be a 20-minute long video on all this stuff. Because hopefully if you're into it this far, you actually know the basics of this, you know how to do it. There's going to be 10 on the bottom, 10 on top. Unless you just like seeing me work. Kevin does. That's why he brings all his junk over. There. Get all the fingers, and there you go. There's the bottom part. Do the same thing for the top, and you'll slide it down in there. Once you put that in there, put your top part in there, and then I'll come back when we do this in the sprag gear, or the armature plate. Okay, so we ran into our first little problem on this that I just noticed. I think he got the Super ATV armature plate, which should work with their metal sprag carrier, but I don't think it is, unless I just am not lining it up right. Because if we line up these tangs, say we'll just line up this one first and make sure, you know, the circumference is right, line that one up, every one of them is at a different, I mean that one's way off. How many tangs does this one have? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's right there to show you why. Because see, take the new one, try to put it in one of these grooves. None of the grooves are lining up. If it sits in this groove, it's not going to go in that one, not going to go in that one, and vice versa. So Super ATV, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this was y'all's. Which no, I'm not gonna even say that right now because it might not be. But anyways, I would hope that if it was, it would work. This one works, so see, it still goes in there, and that's what it does. I don't know if you guys know the operation of the differential, but when the magnet takes this and it turns it, it forces the rollers right there. It forces them inward, which then in turn pushes these rollers forward and onto this surface right here, and that's what then engages your full drive locked all the time. So then when you go in reverse, that's why there's a delay also, because when you go in reverse, this will turn back this way, which forces the rollers in, which then forces it up onto the drive, and that's why it's a true locked system. So that's kind of where we're at on this. I'm not gonna, this might have worked on the stock one, but not with this sprag. So I guess I'm just gonna go back with the stock one, because the stock one's not, this wasn't messed up. So alright, that's enough talking about that. Okay, so as I go and install the armature plate here, you just always want to check and make sure that it's sitting flush, because if it's bent at all, then that's where your magnet's not going to grab it. So you just take it, you put it in there. You don't really want to put it on the ones with the rollers, so turn it, make sure that's sitting there. Actually, before we do that, we need to grab this and see how there's that tang right here? You want to take this, overlap that, and then sit on there. So it sits like that. Because then this plastic piece, which I'm not sure what this does. Like I said, I've never even messed with this. I didn't even really know that these were in the newer ones because I've never been into the newer ones. But there's a tang right there, and that's going to sit on the inside of this one. So just line that up, push it down in there, make sure that it's flush all the way around. There you go. And then you grab your armature plate, put that down in here just like so, and there's going to be cutouts right here, so you can't really put it in wrong either. And there you go. And now all you do is you grease that up and then put it on there. And I'll make a real quick video too on how to test this to make sure that your whole four-wheel drive system then does work. Okay, so I gotta throw this in there because it helped out a ton. Take you a bolt, and instead of putting the roll pin back in there, this is actually a bolt there with a lock nut on the back side. Definitely do that. I mean, it took out all the slop and the play that he had in there, so definitely think about doing that instead of adding the roll pin back in there, and it'll be easier to get out later on.